My name is Victoria Reynolds. He thought he'd win. Thought he'd trick me out of everything. But he didn't know. I had the receipts. Now I live in the house he paid for, with my new man. Prenup's ironclad, he smirked. I smiled, because his lawyer didn't know about the hidden bank account, and I had it all on tape. Before we begin, this is a true story. Names have been changed, but the deception, greed, and sweet revenge are all real. If you're new here, hit subscribe, because this story of financial justice will leave you speechless. I should have known something was wrong when James started reorganizing our finances. After 15 years of marriage, my investment banker husband suddenly became obsessed with simplifying our accounts, moving money around like pieces on a chessboard. It's just better tax planning, he'd say, sliding another document across our marble kitchen counter for me to sign. Trust me, I do this for a living. What he didn't know was that before I became his trophy wife, I'd worked in forensic accounting. Those skills might have gotten rusty during my years hosting charity galas and decorating our Hamptons mansion, but they never disappeared. The first red flag came during our anniversary dinner at Le Bernardin. James was distracted, checking his phone more than usual. A notification popped up, an email from a real estate agent in the Cayman Islands. He quickly dismissed it, but not before I caught the subject line. Property transfer complete. We didn't own property in the Caymans. At least I didn't. The second flag appeared when his secretary, Amanda, called our home line by mistake. Oh, Mrs. Reynolds, I'm so sorry. I was trying to reach James about the new LLC paperwork. She paused, realizing her error. I mean, about the client's LLC paperwork. But James didn't have any clients setting up new LLCs. He managed investments for existing corporations, all carefully documented in his quarterly reports. I started paying attention, really paying attention. Every morning, I'd wake up early to check his desk before he left for work. Started photographing documents with my phone. Created a secure email account to forward suspicious messages. Kept a detailed log of every unusual transaction, every mysterious phone call, every late-night client meeting. Then came the lipstick stain on his collar. Classic, really. Like he wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. Working late again? I asked one evening, holding up the dry cleaning bag with the telltale mark. Client dinner, he mumbled, barely looking up from his phone. You know how it is. I did know. The client was blonde, 28, and worked at his gym. I'd hired a private investigator the moment I spotted that first lipstick stain. But the affair wasn't what interested me. It was what he did before and after their meetings. My PI caught James visiting banks I'd never heard of, meeting with lawyers who didn't work for his firm, carrying briefcases to private airfields. Each photo, each report, each detail carefully archived in my growing collection of evidence. But the smoking gun came from an unexpected source, James's mother, of all people. Victoria, dear, she said during our monthly lunch, her voice dripping with artificial concern. Have you considered updating your will, given everything that's happening? Everything that's happening? She froze, realizing her mistake. Oh, I just meant, with the economy and all. But I knew that look. She knew something. And after 15 years of playing the perfect daughter-in-law, I knew exactly how to make her talk. 3 glasses of champagne later, she let it slip. James had been asking about their family lawyer, the one who handled divorces. That night, I made 2 calls. First, to my old colleague from my accounting days, Michael Chen. I need a favor, I said. How much do you remember about tracking hidden assets? For you, Vic? Everything. What are we looking for? Everything he thinks I'm too stupid to find. The second call was to Diana Martinez, the best divorce attorney in Manhattan. Not the one my society friends recommended, the one their exes feared. Mrs. Reynolds, she said, her voice sharp even over the phone. I've been expecting your call. You have? Your husband's been meeting with every top divorce attorney in the city, conflicting them out so you can't hire them. Amateur move. He didn't think to check Brooklyn. I smiled, thinking of James's Manhattan snobbery. Of course he wouldn't think to look across the bridge. Tell me everything, Diana said, and don't leave out a single receipt. Over the next 3 weeks, I became a ghost in my own life, playing the oblivious wife while building an arsenal of evidence. Every morning, I'd kiss James goodbye, then spend hours documenting his financial maze. Michael's investigation revealed a pattern. Money flowing through shell companies, offshore accounts appearing and disappearing like smoke, property being transferred under various LLC names. James had been planning this for months, maybe years. He's good, Michael admitted during a secure meeting in his office. But he made one crucial mistake. What's that? He underestimated you. The prenup that James was so confident about had a morality clause. Any evidence of infidelity would invalidate it completely. But proving the affair wasn't enough. I wanted everything he'd tried to hide. I hired a second PI to track the girlfriend. Turned out, she wasn't just a gym fling. She was a former financial analyst who'd coincidentally quit her job the same month James started moving money offshore. Now she consulted for one of his shell companies. Diana was particularly interested in that detail. So she's not just the mistress, she mused, adding documents to our growing file. She's potentially a co-conspirator in financial fraud. I thought of all the charity events I'd hosted, the society wives who'd whispered behind my back about being just a trophy wife. If they only knew what I was about to do to their perfect little world. The plan came together one piece at a time. We documented everything. Hidden accounts in 7 countries, properties registered under false names, art collections stored in private warehouses, cryptocurrency wallets worth millions, business deals that existed only on paper. But the real breakthrough came from Amanda, James's secretary. She reached out through a secure channel Michael had set up. Mrs. Reynolds, her message read, I can't be part of this anymore. I have proof of everything. We met in a quiet cafe in Queens, far from James's usual haunts. Amanda brought a USB drive and tears in her eyes. He made me notarize backdated documents, she explained. Set up fake meetings to cover his trips with her. I kept copies of everything. I knew someday someone would need to know the truth. The drive contained 3 years of records, forged documents, fake business meetings, wire transfers to accounts I'd never seen. James hadn't just been planning to divorce me. He'd been systematically erasing my claim to everything we'd built together. That night, as I watched him sleep beside me for what would be one of the last times, I felt nothing but cold determination. The man I'd loved had disappeared long ago, replaced by someone who thought he could outsmart me. Tomorrow, he would try to blindside me with divorce papers. He'd expect tears, confusion, desperate pleas. Instead, he was about to learn what happens when you underestimate a woman with receipts. James served the divorce papers on a Tuesday morning, timing it perfectly with my weekly tennis lesson. He had his lawyer wait in our living room, both of them sitting there with practiced sympathy when I walked in. Victoria, James started, his voice gentle like he was speaking to a child. I think we need to talk. I looked at the papers on our coffee table, then at his lawyer, Timothy Grant, one of Manhattan's most expensive divorce attorneys. They expected hysteria, begging, maybe even a scene they could use against me later. Instead, I smiled. Actually, I think my lawyer should handle the talking. The confusion on their faces turned to shock as Diana Martinez walked in, followed by Michael Chen and 2 federal agents. James Reynolds? One agent stepped forward. We have some questions about certain financial discrepancies. The color drained from James's face. Victoria, what have you done? Nothing, I replied sweetly. I just did exactly what you taught me. I followed the money. Diana opened her briefcase, pulling out a stack of documents that made Timothy Grant's eyes widen. Mr. Reynolds, would you like to explain these offshore transfers? Or should we start with the falsified business records? James stood up, straightening his Armani tie. This is ridiculous. Everything I've done is legal. Including the backdated documents Amanda notarized? I asked quietly. Or the shell company your girlfriend runs? He flinched at the word girlfriend. Timothy Grant started packing his briefcase. Tim, where are you going? James demanded. I don't handle criminal matters, Timothy replied stiffly, and it appears this just became one. The next 2 hours unfolded like a master class in controlled demolition. Diana methodically laid out our evidence while federal agents took notes. Every time James tried to interrupt, she'd produce another document that made him sink further into our imported Italian sofa. Let's discuss the Cayman Islands property, Diana said, sliding across photos of James and his girlfriend at a beachfront villa. The one purchased through 3 separate shell companies, all coincidentally formed the week after Mrs. Reynolds hosted that charity gala that raised $2 million. James's jaw clenched. That money was supposed to go to children's hospitals. Instead, it had funded his escape plan. Or perhaps, Diana continued, we should talk about the art collection hidden in that Geneva warehouse. The pieces Mr. Reynolds claimed were lost in that mysterious gallery fire last year. The same pieces currently insured for triple their value. Michael Chen stepped forward, opening his laptop. We have the insurance claim documents here, along with recent photos of the artwork in its current location. Interesting how lost items can still appreciate in value. James finally snapped. Whatever you think you found, you can't prove anything. The prenup is void, I cut in. The morality clause, remember? The one you insisted on? It works both ways, darling. He turned to me then, really looked at me for the first time in months. How long have you known? Long enough to document everything, I replied. Every meeting, every transfer, every lie. Did you really think I was that stupid, that I'd just stand by while you tried to erase 15 years of our life together? The federal agents exchanged glances. One of them stepped forward. Mr. Reynolds, given the evidence of potential financial fraud, we'll need you to come with us for questioning. I want my lawyer, James demanded. Which one? I asked sweetly. The one who just left, or the ones you paid to avoid representing me? Diana smiled. Don't worry, we have a complete list of all the attorneys you contacted. It'll make an interesting addition to the court records, attempting to deny your wife legal representation. As the agents led James away, he turned back one last time. Victoria, we can talk about this. Work something out. I walked over to him, straightening his tie one last time. Oh, we will. But first, you should know, I've invited the press to the club's charity luncheon tomorrow. I wonder how your banking clients will feel about investing with someone under federal investigation. His face went pale. In our world, reputation was everything. By tomorrow, his carefully constructed empire would start crumbling. You wouldn't, he whispered. I already did, I replied. Check your phone. The news alert popped up as I spoke. Top investment banker under investigation for fraud. Society wife blows whistle. The fallout was immediate and devastating. By sunset, James's firm had placed him on indefinite leave. By midnight, his biggest clients were jumping ship. The same society circles he'd thought would protect him now buzzed with whispers and speculation. I watched it unfold from our penthouse, sipping the vintage champagne he'd been saving for his girlfriend's birthday. Diana sat across from me, reviewing our next moves. His lawyer's already reaching out for a settlement, she said, scrolling through emails. They're desperate to keep this quiet. Let them squirm, I replied. I want everything. The next morning brought the society wives, circling like perfectly coiffed vultures. They arrived under the pretense of support, but their eyes gleamed with hungry curiosity. Victoria, darling, cooed Margaret Ashworth, her tennis bracelet catching the light. We had no idea you were so resourceful. There's a lot people don't know about me, Margaret. Speaking of which, how's your husband's private account in Singapore? She left shortly after, face pale. I hadn't actually known about Singapore, but her reaction told me everything. James's girlfriend tried calling next. This isn't what you think, she stammered. He told me you knew, that you were okay with. Save it for the federal investigators. I cut her off. I'm sure they'd love to hear about your consulting work. Diana brought more news that afternoon. They'd frozen James's accounts, all the ones they could find. But we knew there were more. He's offering 60%, Diana said, plus the Hamptons house. I laughed. He still thinks this is a negotiation. Tell him I want it all. Every account, every property, every piece of art he tried to hide. And if he refuses, the evidence goes public, Diana finished, already typing. That evening, I received an unexpected visitor. James's mother stood at my door, her perfect makeup unable to hide her distress. You're destroying him, she accused. No, I corrected her. I'm taking back what's mine, and you helped me do it. Her face fell as she remembered that champagne-loose lunch where she'd let the divorce plans slip. Why didn't you just confront him? She asked. Try to work things out? I led her to my home office, where walls of evidence chronicled her son's betrayal. Because he didn't just try to leave me, I explained. He tried to erase me, make me disappear with nothing. Now he gets to know what that feels like. She left without another word, but I saw understanding in her eyes. She'd raised him to be ruthless in business. Now he was learning what happens when that ruthlessness comes home. The next morning, James's new lawyer called with his surrender. He'd agree to my terms. All of them. Smart man, Diana smirked. Finally. But I wasn't done. Because this wasn't just about money anymore. This was about power. And I was just getting started. The day I took control of James's empire started like any other Manhattan morning. Except this time, I was the one heading to the bank's executive suite. The same private banker who'd helped James hide our assets now smiled nervously across his mahogany desk. "Mrs. Reynolds," he began, "we've prepared all the documents for the transfer of accounts." "That's not why I'm here," I replied, placing a folder on his desk. "Let's talk about the other accounts, the ones that don't officially exist." His smile faltered. "I'm not sure what you mean." "Singapore, Bermuda, the private numbered accounts in Geneva." I opened the folder, revealing transaction records his bank had thought were untraceable. "Did you really think James was the only one who knew how to move money?" By noon, I had access to everything. Accounts James had spent years building, thinking I'd never find them. The banker's face grew paler with each transfer, each revelation. His bank had violated dozens of regulations helping James hide our assets. One phone call from me could trigger an international audit. "Please," he whispered, "this could ruin careers." "It already has," I smiled, "starting with my husband's." But the banks were just the beginning. That afternoon, I walked into the offices of Reynolds Investment Group, James's firm, built with our shared money, now mine according to the settlement he'd signed. His partners watched in shocked silence as I took his corner office. The same men who'd laughed at his jokes about his decorative wife now scrambled to explain their roles in his schemes. "Gentlemen," I addressed the emergency board meeting, "let's discuss the real numbers behind those offshore transactions." The boardroom fell silent as I pulled up the real financial records. Years of hidden transactions, manipulated accounts, client money moved through shadowy entities, all meticulously documented by Michael Chen's investigation. "You have two choices," I informed the stunned partners. "Either work with me to clean this up or explain to our clients why their money vanished into Caribbean shell companies." One by one, they folded. These powerful men who'd seen me as nothing but James's arm candy now watched as I dismantled and rebuilt their empire. The society fallout was even more satisfying. That afternoon, I attended the weekly ladies' lunch at the club, the same one where they'd whispered behind my back for years. "Victoria," Margaret Ashworth tried again. "About that Singapore comment. Don't worry, Margaret. Your secrets are safe with me." I paused, sipping my champagne. "For now." The message spread quickly through our social circle. Victoria Reynolds wasn't just James's ex-wife anymore. She was dangerous. She knew things. The whispers turned from mockery to fear. Then came the call I'd been waiting for. James's girlfriend crying into the phone. "He promised he'd take care of me," she sobbed. "Now he's saying he has nothing left." "Funny how that works," I replied. "But I might have a job for you." "What?" "The firm needs someone to oversee compliance, making sure no one else tries what James did. Who better than someone who helped him do it?" The silence on the other end was delicious. "Why would you help me?" she finally asked. "Because watching you audit James's remaining accounts for irregularities is a better revenge than anything else I could plan." That evening, I received an urgent message from James's criminal defense lawyer. They wanted to make a deal with federal prosecutors. James would reveal everything about his financial schemes in exchange for leniency. "Let him talk," I told Diana. "Every confession makes our civil case stronger." She smiled, understanding the strategy. "You're not just taking his money. You're taking his reputation, his social standing, everything he valued." "He tried to erase me," I reminded her. "Now I'm erasing the world he built on lies." The next week brought more surprises. Other wives started coming forward, suspecting their husbands of similar schemes. I became their unofficial advisor, teaching them what to look for, how to protect themselves. The very society that had once dismissed me now sought my protection. James's mother appeared at my office unannounced, looking older than her carefully maintained 60 years. "I taught him to be ruthless," she admitted, sitting across from her son's former desk. "I never thought he'd use those lessons against family." "You taught him well," I agreed. "But you forgot one thing. Sometimes the student surpasses the teacher." She nodded slowly. "The Reynolds name will survive," I cut in. "Just not the way James planned." That afternoon, I announced the formation of the Reynolds Foundation for Financial Literacy, focusing on helping women understand and protect their financial rights. The irony of using James's hidden money to fund it wasn't lost on anyone. The final piece fell into place when James's old clients started approaching me to manage their accounts. They'd seen how thoroughly I'd uncovered his schemes, how efficiently I'd taken control. They wanted that same attention to detail protecting their wealth. "You've turned his weapon against him," Diana observed as we reviewed the growing client list. "No," I corrected her. "I built something better from the ruins of his deception." Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just taking everything, it's building something they never thought you could. 1 year after I signed the papers that destroyed James's world, I sat in my expanded corner office, watching Manhattan's sunset paint the sky in shades of victory. The Reynolds name still commanded respect in financial circles, but now for very different reasons. The firm, rebranded as Reynolds Wealth Protection, had doubled in size. Our specialty? Protecting assets from exactly the kind of schemes James had tried to pull. The irony brought a smile to my face every time I approved a new client account. James himself was serving 4 years in a minimum security prison, his sentence reduced thanks to his cooperation in exposing wider financial fraud in our social circle. His confession had triggered a domino effect that was still rippling through Manhattan's elite. "Mrs. Reynolds?" My assistant's voice came through the intercom. "Your 3 o'clock is here." Margaret Ashworth walked in, clutching designer handbag and divorce papers. "Victoria, you were right about Singapore, about everything." I gestured to the chair across from me. "Tell me everything, Margaret, and this time, don't leave out any account numbers." The foundation had become a sanctuary for women like her, society wives discovering their gilded cages were built on fraudulent foundations. We'd helped expose 12 similar schemes in the past year alone. Diana, now head of our legal department, joined us with a knowing smile. "Another one?" "They never learn," I replied, opening my laptop. "But we do." That evening, as I hosted a charity gala in my penthouse, I couldn't help but appreciate how completely the tables had turned. The same people who dismissed me as James's trophy now sought my approval, my protection, my wisdom. The gala's guest list told its own story of transformation. Investment bankers who once laughed at James's jokes now pitched partnership ideas to me. Society wives who'd whispered behind my back now attended my financial literacy workshops. Even James's mother had become a regular donor to the foundation. "You've changed everything," Michael Chen observed, joining me on the balcony. He'd left his accounting firm to become my chief financial officer. "The old boys club doesn't know what hit them." "They're learning," I smiled, watching a group of women exchange cards with Diana, one exposed account at a time. The previous week, I'd received a letter from James. His prison handwriting was shakier than the confident strokes that had signed our prenup 15 years ago. "I underestimated you," he wrote. "I thought I was so clever, but you saw everything. Built evidence while I built lies. You didn't just take my money. You took my entire playbook and used it better than I ever could." I had the letter framed, not out of sentiment, but as a reminder that underestimation was always the first mistake of powerful men. James's girlfriend, now our head of compliance, approached with a champagne flute. "3 more cases this month," she reported, all following the same patterns we used to use. "Used to," I emphasized. "Now we're on the other side." The transformation wasn't just professional. I'd started dating again, this time with a different perspective. Thomas, a civil rights attorney I'd met through the foundation, understood that my power wasn't a threat. It was what attracted him in the first place. "Ready to announce the new initiative?" he asked, joining us on the balcony. I checked my watch. It was time. I clinked my glass, gathering everyone's attention. The penthouse fell silent as I took center stage, the same spot where I'd once hosted James's business dinners, playing the perfect wife. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the launch of the Reynolds Institute for Financial Justice." My voice carried across the room, strong and clear. "Today, we're not just protecting wealth, we're changing how it's controlled." The Institute would combine our foundation's educational work with active investigation of financial fraud. We'd already hired former FBI forensic accountants, cybersecurity experts, and legal specialists. The same types of experts James had once used to hide assets would now help expose others like him. "To those who think their money makes them untouchable," I continued, meeting certain eyes in the crowd, "remember, every empire built on lies eventually crumbles. I should know. I dismantled one." After the applause and the pledges of support, Diana pulled me aside with news. James is requesting an early release hearing. He wants to make amends. I smiled, thinking of the evidence we still held in reserve. Let him try. Some debts can never be repaid. Later that night, after the guests had gone and the city lights twinkled below, I stood in what used to be our master bedroom. The space, like everything else, had been transformed. Gone were James's power suits and financial magazines. In their place, awards for corporate transparency, recognition for women's empowerment, symbols of a different kind of power. Thomas wrapped his arms around me. Penny for your thoughts? I was just thinking about value, I replied. James thought everything had a price. Loyalty, love, trust. He never understood that some things, once broken, become something else entirely. Something stronger, Thomas added. Exactly. The next morning, I had my assistant send James one final message in prison, a prospectus for the Reynolds Institute, with a handwritten note. Thanks for the inspiration. Couldn't have built this without you. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just surviving their games, it's changing the rules forever. They say living well is the best revenge. But I disagree. Living powerfully, purposefully, and helping others do the same, that's the sweetest revenge of all.